And top story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Your actions have not kept pace with your rhetoric. A declaration tonight by the local chapter of Transparency International on President Akufo-Addo's record on fighting illegal mining. The Ghana Integrity Initiative has been demanding an independent bipartisan commission of inquiry into that bombshell Galamsey report by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong-Boateng, in which he accuses top government officials of active involvement in illegal mining. Now, I will have more for you shortly on the GII demands. But first, I want to take you to the president's own hometown of Chibi, where the cabinet of the Chibihini have been busy today showing journalists around in an attempt to challenge claims made by Professor Frimpong-Boateng in his explosive 2021 Galamsey report. Now, presidential correspondent Elton Brobe was there for us and will join us shortly. But first, what exactly did Professor Frimpong-Boateng say that has got the entire cabinet of the Chibihini busy today? Kojo Brace joins me with that. What did he say in this report?
So, Evans, to quote him, he says the impunity in the eastern region is exemplified by near unbelievable activity in Chibi. I had a telephone call from Mr. Eric Entry of the Office of the President, and he narrated that the youth organizer of the MPP in Chibi was excavating for gold in a field which is close to the house of His Excellency the President of the Republic. He says when they checked, it was true. Indeed, part of the guarding of the president had been affected. Apparently, the president did not know about this, so they quickly dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it. And I need to say that, and that's him, I'm quoting him, I need not say that nothing happened to the local youth organizer who caused the damage.
Okay, so
that's an inaction there.
So that's his claim. That's what today has sparked this busy activity in Chibi, and my colleague Elton Brobe was there for us. Elton, so what's the real purpose of this? Explain to me. Why did they tell you why they asked that you come over?
Well, so this perhaps could pass for we making a request to verify the information for ourselves. Because the person in question is the President of the Republic, and because of the security concerns with it, we made the appeal to the Director of Communication at the Jubilee House whether it will be possible for us to visit the place and to understand what really the matter is about, and then to verify the issues for ourselves. So it was whilst we were there, after we were done with our own independent check of the situation at the private residence of President Akufo-Addo at Chibi, then we got a call that the Chibihini or Sabarima Mafo Kwabrane, wanted to see us. So we went to see him, and he said that because we had come to his town, he wanted to understand our mission, and later took us back to the premises, spoke to us, and then took us back to some places around Chibi in a bid to tell us that no illegal mining activity is taking place. In fact, he took us to the Ochingles Palace and other places that, for him, people have been making reference to the fact that Chibi has become centerpiece as far as illegal mining is concerned, but to make the point that nothing of the nature was actually happening.
When you arrive on the ground, you talk to a few people who claim to have lived in the president's house there for quite a while. What's their own assessment of what has been said and what the reality is right now?
So for them, they read the Professor Frimpong-Boateng's commentary on the matter with surprise, because for those who lived in the house for some 7 years, some 30-something years, nothing of a sort had taken place according to them. So they took us around the house. So the house doesn't share a wall with any house. This is like an island. The house appears to be an island of its own. The president himself, according to them, frequently would come to the town, sometimes funeral or other, activities. Now, the house sits on almost an acre land, and there's not really a big house. So most of the land is for the garden, trees, and other security posts in the premises. Now, in front of the house, you will find an asphalted road, and then also at the back of the house, you find an asphalted road. Now, the matter in question as referenced in the Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report to the Chief of Staff, says that the person who was doing the excavation for gold did so on a field quite close to the residence of President Akufo-Addo, and in the process destroyed part of the president's garden. Now, if, from what we saw, if the reference is to a field close to the president's garden, then obviously that would be the asphalted road. So there's a wall dividing the asphalted road and the president's residence. Right after the wall, you find the garden. That is how it looked like. And so for the security agencies, they say that since 2017, there have been changes. Some will come, some will go. But you always find police and military personnel and some immigration personnel, ensuring that there's 24-hour protection for the property. And they are yet to come across anything of a sort. I spoke to the head of the housekeeping staff, Christopher, and also a cousin to the president who's lived in the house for over 30 years. And they say that the matter cannot be true.
Looking at the gate, why is the excavator going to pass to the house? So I think I can lead you to go around the whole place to see for yourself as to search this thing that he's complaining of has indeed taken place.
For how long have you worked in this house?
Oh, I've been here for almost about, 7 years.
7 years?
Yes.
So between 2020 and 2021, you are telling us that there was no point that illegal mining activities or illegal mining activity took place in this compound?
Not at all. Not at all. The security are here 24/7. So how can the security be here and then we allow people to come in that we are coming to do galamsey? What is the purpose of the security being in the house?
What about beyond the walls of the president?
Yes, I think we can fly even if a drone or any other to go around to see whatever that is around the surrounding. Nothing of that nature. There is a house that is just, at the back of the yard. And I think that place doesn't belong to the president.
Elton, so why is the Chibihini demanding the presence of the former Environment Minister?
So according to them, for now, they are not sure exactly the source Professor Frimpong-Boateng referenced in his report to of staff, because according to them, the only property they know or they can assign to President Akufo-Addo is the one they took us to, and this is the one we visited today. They say that they may not know if the president has another property within the Chibi town, but as far as they are concerned, they are only aware of this property we visited today. And this property, according to them, was built by the president's old late father. The president inherited the property, renovated it, and then he's been coming to, anytime he's in town, that's where he spent the weekend or for funeral or anything of the sort. And so Professor Frimpong-Boateng should come to Chibi and then point them to where the illegal mining activity took place so that they can be abreast with the matters in question.
What Professor Frimpong-Boateng says is wrong. It's totally wrong. There's nothing like that.
But how does the traditional authority feel about it?
We are very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, especially the Chibi and then the tradition. We are very uncomfortable. It's unprecedented. It's very, very bad that a man who has struggled for almost 45 years to build his name, and now, as he's about to leave the presidency, they are trying to destroy him. It's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. And very, very bad. And it goes against the throne. The man is decent and clean.
If you are exonerating the president, will you be making any demand from Professor Frimpong-Boateng?
And then he should come here and show you where he saw it that he come and show you where he was doing that galamsey. He should come here and prove to us and prove to the whole world. And prove to the whole world my nephew is out of that thing. He should come here. We will come here and he come and see the whole thing. We need Professor Frimpong himself to come and direct you people, all the journalists, that this is the place Akufo-Addo was doing galamsey. Then he proved to us. Then he crossed our statement that all we are saying is wrong.
But Elton, does he deny that illegal mining, galamsey, happens in Chibi?
Well, he went to, in fact, that was a question I put to him, that the government has waged a war against illegal mining. And so what has been the reaction of the chiefs in dealing with the matter within their own backyard? And he told me that, I mean, in the Eastern region, you cannot rule the Eastern region out when it comes to illegal mining. And even within the enclave, they have witnessed cases where people have undertaken such an exercise on the outskirts of Chibi. But because of the Otihini's own war against the menace, those people have been put out of business. So for now, he was emphatic that Chibi can be said to be free from the activities of illegal mining.
Chibihini has been fighting for it. Even me myself, we have been going around here and chase them. When we go to my palace, I will show you some of the machines we have seized. I'll show it to you. We have been doing about all these things. We are not tolerating those things. But it's only people are trying to distort facts. When we go to my house, there's a lot of machines they are using to do all this thing. Watching has been hammer everything, every day like that. They should not entertain that kind of thing. So nobody is doing this kind of thing. But when you say people don't believe you, but because of Ghana police have become cheap, everybody is trying to destroy somebody.
Now, Elton, if you read Professor Frimpong-Boateng's report, when he was informed that this individual was excavating for gold in a field close to the house of the president in Chibi, he says he quickly dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to, one, reclaim the land and vegetate it. And this happened years ago. So 2 years or 3 years on, definitely, if he vegetated it, the evidence of that excavation possibly wouldn't be there. Did you put this to the chiefs and the people of the traditional area and those in the president's house who were insisting that this didn't happen?
Absolutely. In fact, if you go to the document, this may have taken place in 2020. The report was made to the chief of staff in 2021. Their response to this is that they have no recollection of any earth-moving machine coming to the residence of President Akufo-Addo. Indeed, according to them, the house isn't so big for such an activity to take place. Secondly, according to them, if the illegal mining activity indeed took place, that would have meant a total destruction of the asphalted road that was constructed in 2020, and then also may have led to the destruction of the president's wall. And then that would also have meant that they would have had access to the garden. But according to them, they have no recollection ever of bulldozer or excavator coming to reclaim and restore the vegetation cover on the president's garden. For the security agencies themselves, it's that they undertake security monitoring on a 24-hour basis, and there's no way somebody as the president of the republic residence, which is manned 24/7, will allow such a thing to take place.
Elton, thank you very much. So the question still remains, and let's get the perspective of an expert. My colleague Blaise Soga has been speaking to one, Dr. Solomon Owusu, is a mining expert in Colorado, USA, about this controversy on the back of what the cabinet of the Ochihini in Chibi have done today. So that report that the Professor Frimpong-Boateng put out, as I've just read, put out, that when they discovered that he was told of this excavation that destroyed part of the president's own garden there, he dispatched a bulldozer and an excavator to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it. So if this happened years ago, and the timing issues are important, is it possible that is a reason why you would go there now and not find anything? Can you still find traces if this indeed happened back then? Let's speak to Blaise. Blaise, you've been digging into this a bit more on your show on Pulse, and you've been speaking to an expert in this area. What did you learn?
Well, that's right, Evans. Dr. Solomon also has a wide experience in matters relating to the mining sector. He's practiced here in Ghana before his current portfolio in the United States of America. He tells us that it is possible that at least giving a space of a year when reclamation is done on a particular piece of land, you would find absolutely no evidence that indeed mining activities have taken place in the area. It's the reason for which he believes that if truly we are to ascertain the veracity of what it is that the keepers of President Akufo-Addo's private residence are telling us, then we need the presence of Professor Frimpong-Boateng himself, because if he's able to pinpoint the particular area he's talking about, then it will give room to experts to verify on the grounds as to whether or not reclamation was done. In his view, once you have a period after which mining has done, where experts do reclamation and vegetation cover is grown, there is simply no way by which you could tell what's happening unless there's an extensive work done on the particular spot. And that's why he believes that Professor Frimpong-Boateng would have to give the coordinates of where the mining activity took place. And right after that, experts can then be in a position to tell whether or not reclamation was done.
In other words, the naked eye may not be the way to conclusively say this. If you want to put this beyond doubt, a more forensic analysis had to be done. Hello, Blessed.
Hello, Evan.
Yeah, so my point is, just for clarity, to put this beyond doubt, his suggestion is that a more forensic work needs to be done beyond what the naked eye can see.
Precisely his point, because he says there is technology and sufficient convention to prove that when reclamation is done on a particular piece of land, after a year, you would find absolutely, on the face value of it, no evidence that any form of illegal mining activity has taken place. That's why, in his view, when the coordinates are given, once an individual who has the expertise, who has the knowledge, goes into the field, particular point where Professor Frimpong-Boateng may have been talking about, then there is another method by which the experts can deploy to verify if illegal or perhaps mining activities may have taken place in the area for them to be able to tell. And that's why he's challenging the presidency to allow Professor Frimpong-Boateng to be a part of the process, to show the people of Ghana exactly where he was referring to. If he pinpoints the place and that's subjected to the forensic audit you're talking about, then it will prove as to whether or not indeed the activities took place or the professor may have been misrepresenting the facts in his view.
Blazer, thank you very much. And it's on the back of that we've heard tonight from the Chibihini, who is demanding the presence of Professor Frimpong-Boateng himself there in Chibi to show them where exactly this excavation happened for gold, so they can verify his claims. And that's a demand they've put forth. It remains to be seen whether Professor Frimpong-Boateng will avail himself to show exactly where this happened so the verification could be done. But in the meantime, we reached out to him, Professor Frimpong-Boateng, and he sent us a note. He says, I do not want to argue with anyone. I stand by my statement. And that's what he's saying as of tonight. If you're still live here on Top Story, Ace on Joy 99.7 FM, and this is a story constantly moving, pretty fluid. And as we began the show telling you, the local chapter of Transparency International, that's the Ghana Integrity Initiative, has tonight issued a statement on this development. They are demanding a bipartisan probe into this particular matter. They want this dealt with expeditiously because of the serious allegations that have been made. An independent bipartisan commission of inquiry to be set up. And I want to bring in Mariada, who joins us on the phone right now, and she's a programs manager at the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Hello, Mary. Thanks for your time here on Top Story.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners. Thanks for having me.
Why is a bipartisan independent commission of inquiry necessary?
Evans, it is very necessary because if you just did the interview of the verification visit to Chibi, that alone validates our call that it is critical that when people are cited, the presidency itself and staff around him and also his own appointees are cited by somebody who we have known to be credible, who the president himself entrusted power in to manage the affairs of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, then there is no doubt that when allegations are made by such a person, the obvious conclusion by the majority of the citizens would be that he was within the space and he appreciates the issues better than I, who didn't have any inkling as to what was happening. So it is within that scope that we say that the president, in his own interest and also in the interest of people who have been cited, then constitutes an independent committee, bipartisan, bringing on board people who understand the issues, who have an appreciation of the cost Galamsey is having on this nation, to then determine and go into the issues to investigate. Number one, we say it should be done so because if you have looked at the various surveys over time, the trust of the citizens in the governance processes of this country have gone down beyond our expectations. Everyone, if you look at CDD's Afrobarometer, it said as much that citizens prefer to go to religious leaders than to believe in the architecture of the state. If you look at the Global Corruption Barometer of the Transparency International, it talks about 1 in 4 citizens trusting any state institution to do anything for them. So this is an opportunity for all of us as a people to begin that rejuvenation process, to begin the process of encouraging citizens to believe in what we do, particularly when the president put his presidency on the line for this.
And specifically on that subject of Galamsey and the president's fight, you say in the statement that the president's actions have not kept pace with his rhetoric. Explain.
Exactly. So anybody who says I'm putting my job on the line, after 3 years or thereabout, we still have our river bodies being, if you see the water, it's like somebody mentioned, it's like chocolate drink. Unfortunately, in most of the areas we are talking about, even though Galamsey is not supposed to be going on, we see it each and every day if you are traversing this country. And so, the mantra as to whether he's putting his presidency on the line to fight this canker, unfortunately has not reflected on what is happening in our communities. We remember at a point, the report mentions that when the Chinese were deported, it served the purpose. But then after we decided that they would be tried here, unfortunately, you realize that they have taken over. And in most of the places where Galamsey is happening, it is going on unabated, unfortunately. So we believe that the president has not lived by that, and this is a good opportunity for him to reverse. And I heard one of the persons who were in charge of this process, the secretary, saying that when he said he was putting his presidency on the line, it was just a figure of speech. Unfortunately, we took it hook, line, and sinker, and we would want to see him reflect those statements in action. And action is only what would help us.
And you say you'll be formally petitioning Shraj and the OSP?
Exactly. We want to go beyond the point of asking the president to do this. We also want the state institutions who have been given the power to investigate, to prosecute, the opportunity to also look into these issues. We know that somebody has already gone to Shraj, but we believe that it is very critical that as civil society who have been working in this space and calling for accountability and transparency, we contribute to this discourse and ensure that the institutions of state take up this matter and investigate.
Mariada, thank you very much, Mariada, with the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Well, today we've been hearing again from the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, who has been defending the president's record on illegal mining.
Will not countenance any interference. If there's one person who's been committed to this fight against illegal small-scale mining, it is President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. I've worked with him closely, and I mean closely. And I do know that his commitment to this fight is totally unflinching, and indeed it will be scandalous, and it will be far-fetched, and it will be impossible for President Akufo-Addo to interfere in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Indeed, on the contrary, he is the man who is giving me all the courage, who's giving me all the strength, who's giving me all the backing and authority and mandate to go frontal in dealing with this.